Hi, and welcome to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. Sarah Wiles here, and I am going to be playing with the Spellbinders Heartfelt Thanks and Scallops, along with the Spellbinders Vintage Florals dies today. This portion, I did go ahead and die cut all these florals out to kind of save a little bit of time. So I went ahead and cut these out beforehand. And I am going to spend quite a bit of time inking them and just kind of making them look like they have some dimension to them. I started out with spiced marmalade and distressed oxide, and then I moved to rusty hinge because the rusty hinge is a bit darker, and so I did that for a lot of the lower level ones, and then I started using it for the centers of some of the florals as well. As you see me going back and forth with two different brushes there to do two different colors on them. Here I went ahead and was playing with evergreen burrow and pine needles, and I was doing the two different colors there. I stuck more with the pine needles because it was darker and showed up better on the darker cardstock. Just this way it had a little more depth to it. Here is where I used a little more of the evergreen burrow, and it was on a lighter cardstock, so it worked better that way. It didn't have to be really, really dark or anything like that for it to make a good standout. When you go over this with a little bit of ink, it picks up all the little nooks and crannies in the side of the flowers that are done by the dies, and it makes it look beautiful, especially up close. It's just gorgeous. So I'm going to make sure to go ahead and clean that up, especially since I'm changing to a pink now. I don't want to mix the colors. Here I went ahead and pulled out Kitsch Flamingo to go ahead and go over the light pink one I have here. The same as pretty much all the other ones. I am using two different brushes on this one as well, but it's more so because some of the time it will have a darker color to it or more condensed if you dab the brush too much, and then the other brush lightens it up for me. Here I am using picked raspberry on this one. Since it's a darker pink, this brings it out on this one so much more. They match really well to these. So I went ahead and cleaned up that mess, and now I am going to the last set, and this is the greenery. The greenery is gorgeous and so fine. It's beautiful. Here I'm going to go ahead and do the leaves, and I'm going to shade them on different sides. I'm not going to do everything on one side. And that way, when I put it on my cards, they'll have a little more dimension. And I can also have it to where the shading area is down where it looks like it would be on the underside. This one I am using crushed olive for, and it worked perfectly on this cardstock. I love the color of the crushed olive distressed oxide, though. It's one of my favorites. I do make quite a bit of a mess with this. My fingertips are all different colors, and I'm okay with that. And most you crafters are probably okay with it as well. Here, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my mess, move things out of the way, and I'm going to grab my glue. I have put my glue in a little bitty fine line bottle. That way it comes out easier. It comes out in a smaller amount for these little fine pieces. Here, I just stacked my first flower, seeing how it all put together. And within this die, you can see exactly where you're supposed to sit them. There is an indent in the card from when you run it through that it shows you where to layer the dies up, or the die cut pieces up on top of each other. So here I went ahead and put some 3D foam in between the bottom layer and the second layer, and stuck that down. And here I'm going to go ahead and glue the center part of the flower onto the top portion of the flower, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue that flat down to the card. You see I pick it up and tilt it because then you can really see where the lines are. I'm doing the same thing with the second flower. This is a smaller floral that's in the collection, and I went ahead and added some 3D foam underneath that second flower and popped the center part up. Here with the other flowers, they're more flat. And so I'm sticking the centers to those, and then I'm going to pull out the piece of greenery here. I won't do it with these first few. I will start pulling them out here in a minute. But I'll pull out the piece of greenery that goes for the little budded flowers, and I will stick some of those together as well. The rest of the greenery I will keep off to the side. The second flower I did that you saw me do, the smaller bud, and it was only just the 2 layers. It has a stem for it. but I did not think that I was going to use it because of the way I had already planned to lay out my card. So there is that option. You do have other stems that you can use. I had just made that choice not to use them because, like I said, the way I wanted to lay out my cards. And again, that's another great thing about dies. You can cut them all out, but you don't have to necessarily use them exactly how the packaging shows or anything like that. Because like I said, I don't use them exactly how it shows. I leave the second layer ones off a stem, which is fine, but then you can also put the larger ones on a stem if you want to, instead of just having it on its own with a couple leaves. There's so many different options. But either way, it's extremely easy to put this stuff together. You see me sticking the little ones together right there. You put a little bit of glue on the back and then you touch it to the little buds and they're perfectly fine put together. No big deal. The shading part of this process took me the very longest, which I don't mind. It's kind of relaxing to me. I sat there with something on my TV and I went ahead and shaded everything. This took the second longest, putting everything together. Again, something I don't mind. It's relaxing to me. And I honestly did way more here than I needed to, more than I use on my cards. So I do have extras. I can make an extra card or two out of what I have done here. I actually probably have enough to make more than 2 cards extra than what I already did. So I'm going to still continue going through with all of this, adding all the little buds to these, and they're just so cute. And you can just look at the front of it and it shows you which bud is supposed to go where when you're wanting to stick them on the taller stem, or you can just do it any way you want to. I did it how it showed on the front in the first place. And then as I went through, I just kind of put them wherever. It wasn't a big deal because they all looked perfectly fine wherever you ended up putting them. Again, another thing I like about the crafting world, you can change things up. You can make it your own. So it's all good. Here I'm going to go ahead and do these last few of the lighter turquoisey color. I'm going ahead and adding those, and I'm going to stick it on the base of my big one, making sure I flipped it around and got it in the right spot. I do want to stick those where they show that they're supposed to be because you can see that indentation. So I went ahead and made sure to do that. I have little containers like you see right there on my desk for the little beady tiny pieces, because the centers of all 4 flowers that get centers some of them are just teeny tiny. And I didn't pick up my stylist tool or my pickup tool or whatever it's called. I did not grab that because I already had glue and everything on my fingers and ink and stuff. And I was just like, man, it's okay. It'll stick to my finger. And it did. It made it really easy to go ahead and do this. So it wasn't a big deal. You just see me sticking a little bit of glue down and sticking them in. Here I got the base of my card and I cut it out in that darker teal color that I used for some of the bigger flowers. And then I went ahead and used the Heartfelt Thanks and Scallops and cut out that gold one there. That is the scalloped edged one. I think I use the second to the biggest. No, I used the largest one in that. And then I cut out a square here to stick in the center. That's where everything is going to be based off of. And I'm going to start arranging the flowers to see where I want them and how it's going to look. And you'll see here that I'm tucking them under. And the fact that there's layers to some of these flowers is actually really great because they slide in and they nest together really well. And it's awesome. You saw me trim the long stem off of that pink set and slide it under. And once I got these all where I thought I wanted them to go, I went ahead and I started pulling out, like right here, I'm pulling out the leaves and I'm adding a little glue and sliding them back in where I want them to be. It makes it really easy after I had laid everything out to just go ahead and add the adhesive because it was all right where I wanted it to be. So it didn't take me but a minute or two to go ahead and actually get this portion of the card put together. And I'm adding glue to the very last few. I'm going to go ahead and grab a few more of the leaves because I love the greenery being added in. And I'm going to snip some ends off of those just so they can tuck in a little easier, being that I've already glued a bunch of it down. I'm going to go ahead and move my extra flowers away so that I can go ahead and actually pull out my Sizzix again, because here I'm going to use the Hello out of the Vintage Florals, and I'm going to cut the background part because there is two pieces to the Hello. I cut the shadow part out in gold, and then I use the light pink that I had used on some of the flowers to cut out Hello. This way I can go ahead and layer them. I'm going to poke the little pieces out there, and I'm going to grab this with my tweezers and add some glue and go ahead and add it to this Hello. I'm trying to make sure that I line it up like I want to and get it where I want. And then I'm going to go ahead and add glue to the back of that and tuck it in by that pretty dark teal flower. And that finishes up this card for me. These dies are fantastic to work with. So many different looks that you can get for them, especially from the two sets. I can't wait to play with them more. They're just gorgeous. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to ScrapbookPal so that you're notified when new videos are uploaded and you can keep up with what's coming to the channel. Have a great day. Bye.